Okay, welcome back to the studio. Now, the amnesty program is what we are paying key attention to and watching to see how it plays out, especially now that our youth have laid down their arms and they are saying, what next? Of course, with me in the studio are two gentlemen who also deal with the youth in different fora. The first to my immediate right is Mr. Onengiya Erekosima.
Thank you.
Good morning. And he's the president of the Niger Delta Nonviolent Campaign Group.
Nonviolent movement.
Oh, nonviolent movement.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And then to him, next to him rather is Mr. Oche Isaac, and he's the secretary, acting, you said to me, acting secretary general of the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, both of you, something strikes me about your offices. You deal with the youth of this nation. So let me start up with you. What's your organization started with? What do you do?
Well, my organization believes that we're at a stage when generations should change. And it is like a generational change. And we are changing for the better. So we found out that this kind of violence has taken over a lot of youth, and we think the better change. So my organization is talking about change, positive change, a change that will bring development, peace to a nation that is so loved by God.
Okay, you seem to have a different approach to the whole of the issue. Now, while we are saying this, most of the Niger Delta groups are more like saying employing a bit of force, but you are non-violent. You care to tell us what is informing this different approach to it? Or?
Well, the issue is very straight. You see, when God wants to do a thing, he raises a man from somewhere. We found ourselves in a situation where politicians, most elders took advantage of the youth. Maybe because they lost their grounds, they lost the necessary aspect of having good names for themselves. So they wanted to be relevant. So they now use young men, confuse them, protect them. See, nobody will touch you. When you do certain things, nobody will touch you. If the police arrests you, they release you. You know, so these young men saw strength that ought not to be so. So we're trying to redirect it to say, look, this is not the best way for us. If indeed we are Niger Delta people and we have oil, it will not be that God has kept it there for a cause. It can't be a cause. So what is wrong? Something must be wrong somewhere. So we seeked God. And God said, look, we missed the line. Our elders missed the line. We don't need violence to take anything. If you take anything by violence, it will go by violence. He says, whatever a man sows, he will reap. So, but to plus it all of it, with all of this violence, the Nigerian state has not done anything for the Niger Delta. That's where it amazes me. With all of this violence, you cannot talk of one federal government project in the Niger Delta. So what was God saying? He said, I delayed it, I hardened their hearts, so that you don't get something by violence and lose it by violence. We don't sow a seed that will affect the next generation. So we are happy. We say that, God, what do? He said, we must start planting on a non-violent suit, where we can put in things that our children will be happy to build on. Like he said, let the old men dream dreams and let the young men prophesy. I keep asking, I said, God, why the old men dream? Would you go and sleep? He said, no. These old men, our leaders, our elders, our governors, they've been to Abuja, they've been to Britain, they've been to other civilized places. He said, let them come and dream those dreams about what they see there, so we can build. They should not give us a foundation that is violent. So we had a wrong foundation. We're trying to now amend it. We are saying, look, this old things was hijacked, was misunderstood. It was a confusion from everywhere. So we are saying, look, we have to put it right. It is not about what Nigeria wants now. It's about what God wants. God is saying, I'm ready to heal the land of my people because they will turn from their sin, because they have seeked my face. He said, I will heal, and I will take all that the cacaworms have stolen and bring it back to you. So we are saying we need a peace. It's not because Nigeria said they wanted peace. We demanded for amnesty. Nigeria did not give us amnesty. Yar'Adua did not give us amnesty. We demanded for amnesty. See, if you don't get these things straight, you will not be able to solve this problem that Amnesty wants to solve.
Sorry, when you say you demanded for amnesty,
yes,
you want to tell us how that came about? Because now, all we know is that the federal government gave amnesty to the Niger Delta militants.
Yes, we discovered something. God
you say
eyes.
We as who?
The youth, the young men in the Niger Delta, the people of Niger Delta. We discovered that all these rumors about armed struggle was hijacked. Politicians took advantage of it. The most elders took advantage of it, and they were using the young men's blood. They were benefiting in the young men's crisis. The young men were dying and killing themselves. So we said, no, we must heal this land. What is the problem? The young men must take their position. The young men's position is to make sure that there is security in the land. That is the young men's position. So we say, look, when we discovered that it was not properly a struggle, it was converted to a struggle and was hijacked again by the same cabal. So we now say this thing is not a struggle. It became a power tussle. Because when politicians brought in people to use them, they now wanted relevance. They now had groups. Everybody wanted to be relevant. If you don't shoot guns, if you don't kill people, you may not be strong enough for the government to use you. So these are the problems we had. We now felt, look, all we need to do is to reconcile these people with themselves. So we started reconciling them with themselves. People at Teketom suggested, said, look, we are going to wash ourselves. We have seen where these things are coming from. We're being used. So we will wash ourselves. We will wash our backs. So we said, okay, if that is the issue, it is misunderstood, we will demand for amnesty. The real word for it was forgiveness, because it was like God says, you have to use my kind of heart. It says, take the mind of Christ, that we should be able to forgive. The real word was forgiveness. But the world would not have understood when we say forgiveness, because harms were involved. So we said amnesty.
Okay.
Amnesty because you carried arms that were not licensed. It's not because you're not fighting a just cause, but the arms were not licensed. Our brothers are arrested, our brothers are killed for reasons that they are carrying arms and they are not licensed. We say, now if you forgive us, because we are reconciling ourselves with ourselves, we'll be able to have a safe landing ground where we can wash ourselves. So that's where amnesty started from. We now started asking for amnesty. Everybody was fighting us.
Okay. Now, let me come to you, Isaac Oche. You also work with the youth, but under a different umbrella. What's your impression about the amnesty?
Yeah, amnesty is a welcome development, because in any nation, they will always seek for peace. The people of Niger Delta, our brother in Niger Delta, we actually fed for them. The way things go wrong, the way they were neglected by the government for a very long time, and they have to resort to an armed struggle. Our group, always a non-violent group, we actually talked to a lot of leaders, both in the Niger Delta, in the western, in the southwest here, to lay down arms, and we have a good relationship with almost all the leaders. So what we're talking, amnesty is a welcome development, but again, depend on the approach to the amnesty from the government. Approach to the amnesty in the area of sincerity to what you want to do. For instance, the government let us know before the amnesty that they have a whipping sum of 50 billion naira somewhere there to rehabilitate these boys, to bring them back to the society, to create employment for them. But today, after about a month ago,
this is like 30 or so, more than that.
35 or 36 days.
Okay.
Nothing have been done. These boys are in street of every city in Niger Delta, walking from one end to another without nothing. Okay. It will come to a time that they will get tired of walking about, nothing, start having, they are not more comfortable with their leaders, and when they go back to the creek, it's going to be worse than what we have before. So the government should speed up. At least by now, we all expected that a lot of heavy-duty development equipment on facility, infrastructure should be in Niger Delta now. They should see what they have clamored for years. They should see what they have died for. They should see what community has been wiped out for.
Okay, a follow-up on that one. You work with the youth, of course, both of you, so you can give us a picture of how their psyche is. Is the average Nigerian youth violent? Let me start with you.
The average Nigerian youth is not violent. Violence do not just come from anybody. But except you have been pushed to the war, When you are being pushed to the wall, you don't have anywhere to go back again. You have to attack back for self-defense. Most violence in Nigeria is being done on self-defense. Nigerian youth is one of the most peaceful youth in the world. If you see us, we have one of the most brilliant people in the world, the Nigerian youth. Go all over Europe, America, and all those things. You see the input of Nigerian youth, the development of that country. Even in Nigeria, I will give you one instance. Back in the banking sector, back way in the 1994-5, when the late Sani Abacha take a reform and hand over the Nigeria banking sector to youth, you see the development, the growth in the youth, in that sector. Today, come to other sector. Look at the contribution of Nigerian youth to the development. So Nigerian youth are peaceful, we are talented, but our elders, which benefit from this country so much, a free education, free housing, free car, today they are denying our youth a lot of things. They are denying us good education. Look at San Egbo, the Minister of Education. For complete 4 months, Nigerian youths are at home. He's a lecturer. The Vice President is a lecturer. The President is a lecturer. And they sit down, fold their hands, and look. And San Egbo have to cough out 170 million for a birthday or a wedding anniversary, while teachers, lecturers are at home crying for good welfare, good educational standard. But still, San Egbo can cough that out. So which is a bad leadership. These are rules of bad leadership. These are traits of bad leadership.
Okay, over to you, Mr.
Well, see, what I would say about the Nigerian youth, I will refer to the ones I know, the Niger Delta youths.
Okay.
The Niger Delta people are unique people. See, at first, if you want to be a proud Nigerian, you come to Niger Delta. When a Niger Delta man comes into Lagos, you know that he's from Niger Delta. It's a lively man. He's somebody you want to meet. The real Niger Delta people are peace setters. They tell you how to do some certain things in life that you've never done, as in when you talk about good life. That's why I say, look, it's a generational change. We missed it because we thought we know it all. But God has to reverse us back. That is why you cannot blame anybody on this crisis. You cannot point one finger to say you are the cause of this crisis, because it was fashioned by God. It was fashioned for a change, for a generation to change. This thing is not about Niger Delta. It is about changing Nigeria from Niger Delta.
Okay.
If the government would take this amnesty program seriously, although there is a lot of insincerity with our governance, if you take this amnesty program seriously, we will get to a change that we never imagined, because transparency will begin to show. The program we had for amnesty, we gave them, we started amnesty with one sheet of paper. We said the solution to the Niger Delta crisis was in one sheet of paper. They were inviting the whole world, and it's as if this problem will never end. And I brought out one sheet of paper. I said, give us amnesty for 6 months.
You gave this to who?
To the government, to everybody. I was on every paper. I was canvassing for amnesty. People were like, look, you can't get it. But I said I would not give up, because I know what God told me. Now we told them, give us 6 months. They gave us 2 months in a hurry.
Why that? Was it as a result of the
now,
violence?
No, the problem is there is an agenda.
Okay.
But whatever agenda they have, it failed. Let me tell you why I say there's an agenda. There are people who wants to fail this amnesty.
Why so?
I'm telling you, because they benefit from this thing. See, sometimes I try not to accuse the government, but the truth is the government is so big that you may not be able to get everybody to be sincere.
Okay, now let's talk about the sincerity of the government now, and I will ask both of you.
Yes, let me go to the sincerity now. The government, if it is Yaradua, he is sincere.
Okay.
I've seen his heart. But there are people who work with him that are hungry for money with the people's blood. They do things, they don't mind who it hurts. They are wicked, they don't know they have not enough time to live. Most of them, they are children, and children will be ashamed to answer their names. They have no respect for names. They are the ones that are spoiling the government. We know most of them. We will call names if the time comes. But we are saying because we are looking at forgiveness, we are looking at the way forward. We want to let this thing go by and let's move on. Let me give you an instance. Amnesty was granted by Mr. President. That both those in prison and outside prison that are involved in this struggle should be granted amnesty. Port Harcourt, River State, where everything happened. They've been arresting people for years. Port Harcourt prison is filled up with people who took to arms. I have over 50 lists in Port Harcourt prison. I met the committee. I said, look, these people in Port Harcourt prison deserve this amnesty more than any other person outside. They said they will come to Port Harcourt prison because when they released Henry Oka, they did not understand what he was saying again, that they will come towards the end of the amnesty thing. So they purposely delayed these people. They did not get there. Right now, as I speak to you, there are over 50 people in Port Harcourt prison. There is one particular person. His name is Orinemi Hart. He is the leader of the Bonny team. I know how much Bonny costs Nigeria. Where LNG is. He is in Port Harcourt prison. They were two. They killed one.
For what offenses?
Armed struggle.
Okay.
Armed struggle. So we are saying these are the places where these things are insincere. I am sure that Mr. President is not aware of this. These are the places that these things are insincere. And we are saying we have to avoid anything that will bring an excuse for anybody to go back and take gun, because we are ready to say you can't pick up guns. Okay. You can't take up arms. But if the government gives a room now and they pick up arms and they have excuse, we will protect our brothers.
Okay.
We don't want to get there where anybody will take to violence. We will never say yes. No matter who, we don't look at your face, we will never accept violence again in the Niger Delta. But we are praying that there should be no excuse for anybody to go back into armed struggle.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on the program. On a last note, what's Arewa's stance on amnesty? Very quickly as we end.
We support the amnesty if the government is sincere.
Good. Thank you so much for coming on the show, gentlemen. The program continues shortly, so do stay tuned.